everyone. So we are wrapping up our series of interviews at the Rhode Island Author Expo. If you've been here, I hope you enjoyed it. There's been a lot of great stuff happening, including I get to talk again to author Kelly Swan Taylor. You probably saw our interview last year when we talked about her Wright Detective series and her recently released thriller Frozen in Time. Awesome title, great cover too. But we're here to talk about the new book in the series, which is called A Charming Mystery. This is book 4 in the series, and this is all about romance. It's all about love. So Kelly, please take it away and walk us through this one.
Well, this one we return to Greenville Heights with our super sleuth Tessa, and this story is a wintry theme. So there are 4 books in the series so far now, and somehow I've managed to make it so it's a seasonal thing. It wasn't planned originally, but we started out with spring, went to summer, then fall, and which was a spooky book, and now we have a Valentine-themed wintry tale where the Tessa Wright Detective Agency finds their next case at a retirement home, and Tessa is trying to solve the mystery of a bracelet that she found in a vintage dress that she wore.
Ooh, nice.
So she's trying to solve. It's a charm bracelet. She's trying to go through the charms and figure out what they mean, and it reveals the life of someone that she discovers. Maybe at the end or not.
Exactly right. No. Keep it a secret. Keep it a secret. So, was this always planned to go this far and do like a 4-book series, or was it more like we'll do one and kind of see where it goes?
Well, I've already written a lot of the 5th book. So
there we go.
I knew it was going to be a series, but I didn't know how far. In my head right now, I have planned up to 6 books.
Sure.
With the titles and a rough idea of what it is. But I'm not really sure how far it's going to go. I'm kind of spreading it out more as to when I release them. And obviously I need to finish writing the 5th book. But yeah, as long as the characters are, asking to be written, then I'll keep the stories going. Just like Nancy Drew, and we just keep going. And they age throughout the series, so they're just getting older, and they're going to enter high school by the end of this book, and into the 5th book, they'll be high schoolers.
How do you keep track of that? Because you're aging your characters, so there's all these things that have to change about them.
Well, I do have a spreadsheet with names.
Of course you do, yeah.
I don't think I've actually updated it lately, but yeah. And it's somehow in my head, I do keep track of it. I do try to make sure if I ever refer to something or quote that someone says, I definitely double check it.
Yes.
But it is tricky to write a series because there's the continuity factor. You want to make sure that everything flows from character development to the plot, and you don't want to sort of second guess anything, but you can kind of finagle it if you do. But I keep character charts, and I refer back to the previous books frequently. I'm always opening them up and looking at what I've previously done.
I get you. All right. Let's talk a little more about this book, though, because this is your main character has recently fallen in love. She's got a boyfriend now, and this was in the last book, Haunting in Greenville. Where does the new one pick up after the third one? After the third one ended?
Just immediately, they always flow right into it. And each book is usually about 3-month time frame. So we might have a book that's a whole summer, or someone that's the 1 semester of school. So this one picks up about February, right after they had the fall. They finished up probably November, I think that was. And so Tessa's going back to track, and so she's training for the next season of the track team. And we also revisit the basketball team because they're finishing up their season, so they're going to be doing that too. And it goes right into Mason, sort of her boyfriend, helping her out with a particular issue she's having because she was on the cross-country team, and she had, I won't spoil it for everyone, but she had an issue there. So she's sort of learning to work through that as an athlete. So there's a lot of sports psychology involved in this one too. It investigates a little bit of issues involving. I don't want to say too much, but yeah, it's just a setback as an athlete.
I getcha. Did this book require a lot of research, maybe into sports injuries or what have you?
Well, I'm an athlete myself,
Okay.
so I'm a runner.
Nice.
So I always use that as starting point because she's a track star and she's done cross country. So I have my own. I even pull from a particular story where she gets sort of bombarded by bugs and gnats when she's running, and so I've had that happen to me on a run. Yeah, and so she encounters a sort of injury that I've had before, so although not quite as dramatic of a fashion happening. But so I definitely pull from that, and I think that anyone who's played any sort of sport and has a setback, they have to get through the mental aspect of it and the physical aspect. Once you get through the physical, you have to get through the mental. Then you definitely can relate to it. And so I took that from my own, but I also did a little bit of research on it.
Nice. All right. I want to learn a little bit more about Mason because I believe he first comes in the third book, right?
He's in there from the beginning.
Okay, gotcha.
But he starts out as a friend.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
What is his role in this new book aside from just being Tessa's love interest? Does he kind of play a role in the overall mystery? Does he help with solve mysteries?
He's what he calls himself, because he is sort of an honorary member of the detective agency because he has helped with previous mysteries. So he calls her his backup because she doesn't need saving by any means,
Nope.
but if she needs someone to, kind of help her out, he's there, and he's an excellent friend. He's a support for her. He guides her through and teaches her. He's sort of been through something similar that she's going through, so he can give her his perspective on that as an athlete. So it's all of the above, but it starts out with a really great friendship between the two in book one. They share an interest in reading, and they always have this fun banter back and forth about they do sort of they bet particular things, like I'm going to bet that you win the book reporter, you're going to buy me lunch or something. So they go through that a lot, and it's a fun pairing, and that he's friends with also. He kind of brings his friendships into her friendships, and they're sort of connected. And I'm trying to think if it's this book or the next one. He does have a birthday. It might have been the last one. So then everyone's invited to the birthday party, and so it's all it's part of something I like to do, which is write co-ed ensemble casts. So there's just diversity of people and interests, and that's kind of how I grew up too, where I had a lot of friends of different perspectives and ages, and both guys and girls.
Cool. How do you, I guess, build a world of this series? Because it sounds like it's more than just a mystery here. You have, them dealing with the more day-to-day stuff. Tessa has a new boyfriend, and she has other stuff kind of going on. So, how does everything kind of just come together?
Well, I don't really plan out what I'm doing. I think I've said that before. So it just kind of comes. But when I'm doing it, I think that I want the mystery to kind of flow naturally. So it's more of when she goes through her everyday life, she's going to come upon a mystery. It's not quite as blatant as, say, like a Murder, She Wrote, where no, I'm here, therefore a murder is going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so a lot of times it's just she's very curious and she's intuitive, so all of those things kind of create its own interest in whether or not she's going to solve something. Sometimes it doesn't need to be solved, and she's coming upon them on her own. And because she has friends who are the same mindset, where they're curious and wanting to have that sleuthy mindset, that it comes upon naturally whenever they're I want to say, for instance, if you were to come upon something and say, oh my gosh, there's a clue there, is that what is that? And of course you're going to naturally sprinkle in those little things throughout the plot. So they're going to go throughout their everyday lives. Like, for instance, in this particular book, she finds the bracelet in a dress that she's wearing for a Halloween party. So it's not something where, it's blatantly, it's just it naturally flows. And I think that's how I come upon the mystery when I'm working on it. When I didn't think, I'm going to write this book called A Charming Mystery that's going to take place in the winter and it's going to be a Valentine's. It just naturally is flowing that, she has this experience and she's going to find her next mystery. And one mystery always flows into the next. So you can it's sort of a way to pull you into the next mystery.
Gotcha. Now, where this is a young adult book series and a mystery series, you kind of have to forego some of the more like intense aspects of mysteries. Not only finding like dead bodies.
Yeah, that's reserved for Frozen.
There we go. Yeah. So, how do you like write this series so that it kind of stays within the limits of the genre?
That's a good point. I think that just because I naturally write in that age group, it makes it a little bit easier, and then you get sort of used to what you would consider to be the appropriate mystery for that age group.
Yeah.
So like I say, with Frozen in Time, the protagonist is older, it's a darker story, you're going to find something like a murder. Whereas something like, Tessa's not going to happen upon that in her town, thank goodness.
That'd be a pivot, wouldn't it?
Yeah, the town goes dark really quickly. But yeah, but her
In the fifth book, things get dark.
That's right. They're older now. But it's more fun stories and things like finding a lost cat or a lost item, or this is more, I would say, more of an intriguing mystery that leads to a lifetime of an interest in someone's life and an adventure. So there's a lot of adventure in there. It's not so much like a dark thriller, or it's kind of the fun Nancy Drew stories used to be, where she's going to find like a locket or a will or something.
Yeah.
It's very age appropriate in that sense, where there's not anything that's too dark. It's mysteries that the town would like solved, but not necessarily requiring someone to go to prison, or they're not that deep and dark. But one too is
If you ever want to like shake up the readers, that's the way to do it.
yeah.
Yeah.
You get she happens upon a homicide.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
Someday when she's like an FBI agent, she
There
can
you
do
go.
that. But yeah,
When
for
you're
right
all-
now,
when
she's
you're
gonna
all like-
stick to lost items, pet retrievals,
Yeah.
and yeah.
say that for like book like 12. You
Yeah.
know?
Oh my gosh, I can't imagine writing that many.
Do you think it's going to go that far? Though? I mean, like, when do you think you'll know when it's time to say, okay, I'm going to wrap it up now?
That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, it's a lot. Probably my cover artist no longer wants to draw Tessa.
Right.
or-
Yeah. And they say, nope, I'm done.
Yeah, it is quite a lot, and there's a continuity of the story and the covers and the way it's presented, so that's definitely important. I do like to write other things, and that's probably why I went more with the dark route of the thriller,
Yeah.
because this is so light and fun. And there are really serious aspects to it, like I was mentioning, that sports psychology is a really big thing in this book,
Sure.
and she does dive into more relationship issues as she gets older. So there are serious family issues that she deals with her friends. So there are the teen, the typical teen aspects you would get that they would deal with, but then kind of integrate it with the mystery aspect that's not quite so heavy at times.
Okay. You mentioned earlier that you're working on book 5 right now. Can you get some hints as to what happens there?
It takes place at a dude ranch in Florida, where she's staying with her. I wanted a different setting, because I think we're now been 4 books now at Greenville Heights, so we need something new. I like writing the summer books, and so prior to this, there's a talk about how she needs to visit her grandmother who's in Florida. So she and this was heavily inspired by the Nancy Drew story, which is the 5th book. So there's a connection there with a secret at Shallow Ranch. So the next book is called The Secret at Bright Star Ranch. So she goes there, and she's going to do what you do at a dude ranch in a summer camp, day summer camp. So she's going to be canoeing and crafting and riding horses and zip lining. There's talk about that, which is fun. I actually did that in Kauai recently, just in preparation for this and a different book I'm writing.
Oh,
so,
cool.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure it was as authentic as possible. So it's one of the fun things about being a writer, is getting to live the adventure.
Exactly.
So, yeah,
or just like research all kinds of like weird stuff.
Yeah, I haven't I'm not hanging out in mortuaries or anything like that, or met with medical examiners for Frozen in Time. But this is based upon a trip to New Hampshire, so that was how So yeah, any little thing can spark a story.
Exactly. How about when it comes to aging the characters up? How does that impact the story, where you have your characters before they're maybe like, I think 6th grade now, and now they're in like 8th grade?
Well, it comes naturally within the story, and because I write, my books bridge the gap. So they start out middle grade and go all the way. It's really easy to have them experience the things that they, as they get older, that in some of my other books, you know, this in The Winning Ingredient, they're 14 and 15. That's the age that Tessa's now going to be. So it's relatively easy to get them in there, and it also brings about an interesting aspect to the plot because you're going to encounter different things when you're in high school, different challenges than you would if you were in middle school. So it adds that extra aspect to the plot that you mentioned, which wasn't just mystery based. It's all the teenagers together hanging out and what they have to encounter there. So.
Okay. Now, this is not the only new book you have out. You also have the novella, Mistletoe and Pandora, which is, I think you said initially on your website, but now it's out there for all to read.
Yes, it was
tell
an
us
ebook.
Tell us about this one.
This one, in The Winning Ingredient, we have two characters who I mentioned they're freshmen in high school, Mia and Bryce, and she is an Italian baker. Her family owns DeSalvo Bakery, which is a century-old Italian bakery in an urban area that I've kind of think in my head around like New York, but it's not specific. It's just, it's fictional. Bryce is the new star quarterback who was recently left from interesting means from first private school and now boarding school. So he is now the new star quarterback on the team that's basically a losing team, but because of him, a winning team.
Nice.
And so it follows the two of them and her friendships with sort of outside characters as well. But she's tutoring him, and so they get to know each other, and it's kind of a sort of an enemies thing to begin with because they don't get along and they come from very different backgrounds, lifestyles, so they don't really connect quite. They don't understand each other, and eventually they come to an understanding. But she is trying to save her family's bakery, and that's hurting and due to competition, due to not modernizing themselves. And then he obviously is trying to save the football team, so it's they're working together in that respect. She also can throw a perfect spiral, so she's a football player in her own right, and as far as like casual, not on the team. And so the novella follows up with a holiday sequel, and it's a short sequel about it's a lot of Italian Christmas traditions. So you learn a lot about it, and the traditional Italian Christmas cakes are Pandoro and Pantone. So there's a big culinary competition at this holiday market. So she has to try to come up with something innovative, and she uses her great grandmother's recipe book to sort of help her, as well as Bryce. And there's mistletoe in there. So there's I won't give all of it away. But
No. I keep this.
Yes, but
the book.
It poses an interesting dilemma for her.
I get you.
In many ways.
All right. Well, folks, this is it, the end of our final Aria Expo interview. I hope you've enjoyed them all. If you want to check out these books, and you know you want to, the link will be in the description. Check it out. We have now 4 books in. We have the novella. We have the more adult Frozen in Time. And I'm sure many, many more books to come. Kelly, thank you again. It's been really cool talking with you.
Thank you so much for having me.